she did a good job explaining to me because I was like, that does make sense. Yeah. The singer, like, I don't know how to read. I'm like, I don't understand.
Email that I sent to you from the county administrator.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes, yes. How are you?
I'm not sure who's managing the Zoom, but I wanted to make sure that they had made it on
Zoom
Zoom.
manager is, oh, well, Hazel. She's sitting, she just looked
Okay,
up here.
awesome. I will go and see her then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so, I'm a little confused with this new one. So they were taking up these bills. Now we have Trevor. Now we go to Fitzgerald's. Then we go to Washington's. But I thought, so I just, and we just thought he was, I think go up with them. But I don't know.
I think Trevor's been on top of, well, since he's, I'll check with my guess that he's been on top of some of them.
Okay, he did fill out a card for both. But,
And he, I guess he can always come in.
well, I know he just wants to make a statement, so I just want to mention those
Okay.
things to her.
Okay. That sounds good. I should probably let them know that it's 10:32.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's so funny. So nice. Oh, very good.
Pleasurable to work with, too.
That's the best case scenario. Okay. Oh, you're in Nathan. One post.
You know that I love you. No. I can't help myself.
We did something else. I'll just show her on text.
Yeah, show it to her.
Oh, how I make fun of my kids all the time.
It reminds me when I went to my Dutch elementary school. And so have fun. He never turned around. Stop calling me. Anyways. Session.
All right. Good morning, everybody. The House Judiciary Committee will come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chair Breen.
Here.
Representatives Edwards.
Present.
Carter. Hope. Here. Arbet.
Present.
Devendorf.
Here.
Hoskins.
Here.
Cerniglu.
Here.
Fink.
Here.
Wenzel.
Here.
Wozniak.
Here.
Outman.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have 12 members present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you, and I will take a motion from Representative Hope to adopt and approve the minutes from the previous meeting, which was June 21st, and those are now adopted. And I will now take a motion from Representative Edwards to excuse Representative Carter, who is not able to be with us here today. I hope everybody enjoyed their in-district work period. As we come back, it's not going to be as exciting as it was when we started the term, but we do have some important issues that we're going to tackle. We're going to ease into it today with some bills regarding some judicial recommendations. Later on in the term, just so everybody knows a little bit about what we're doing, we're going to be tackling guardianship, human trafficking, and some other things involving maybe benefit corporations, some very exciting probate bills, I believe. And there's a whole myriad of things that we're going to be addressing. But today we're just going to get started with testimony from Trevor Van Dyke from the Supreme Court in SCAO, who's going to give us an overview of how judicial recommendations are done. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the Judiciary Committee for having me. My name is Trevor Van Dyke. I'm the Deputy General Counsel for the Michigan Supreme Court. You may not know me. I'm not even 3 months into the job, so I hope to change that. So welcome back, and hopefully I can find time to meet each and every one of you. So with that said, I come before you today to share our recent individual assessment for House Bill 4823 and House Bill 4920, and it supports the proposed additional judges, and SCAO supports both of these bills. SCAO's methodology for issuing recommendations to add or eliminate judgeships involves 3 distinct phases. The first is a workload assessment, the second is a weighted caseload calculation, and the third is a secondary analysis. The workload assessment is conducted by SCAO and or the National Center for State Courts, and requires a time study where judges record time spent on cases. The entire assessment establishes how much time it takes for a judge and judicial offices to process and dispose cases. This time is reflected then in the case weights. For an example, because felony cases require more time than misdemeanor cases, the case weight for a felony cases is larger. SCAO has conducted workload assessments, sometimes they call these time studies, in 1997, 2000, 2006, 2010, and 2018. The next workload assessment will be conducted in 2024. The second phase is an application of the weighted caseload formula. Using the most current case weights and the most current case filing data, SCAO identifies trial court jurisdictions that appear to have a judicial need or excess. The third phase is a secondary analysis. This focuses on the courts with a significant judicial need or excess. This analysis incorporates additional factors that were not accounted for in the weighted caseload formula. The local issues identified by judges and local court leaders, such as trends in filing or populations, changes in prosecutorial practices, and any other issues that may affect the need for judges. After the secondary analysis, SCAO issues a judicial resource recommendations report to the legislature, which recommends adding or eliminating judgeships. During your research of this legislation, you might have found the last one was published in 2019. SCAO recently transitioned to a 6-year cycle for the Judicial Resource Recommendations Report. The plan moving forward is to update case weights through the large-scale time study every 6 years. We're due for one in 2024, which will then inform the official recommendations report in 2025. In the interim of this 6-year window, we regularly update individual judicial resource recommendations analysis for courts upon request using case weights and from the most recent time study and the most recent filing data. In regards to House Bill 4920, in our more recent analysis, the district court has 2 judgeships and needs a total between 2.32 and 2.83 judges. Now, our district court estimates are a little low because judges have more responsibility in landlord-tenant cases that we have not yet accounted for in our case weights. In regards to House Bill 4823, our recent analysis indicates a probate court has the need of 3.1 to 3.82 judges, but currently they only have 2 judgeships. So please know that the addition of a new judgeship requires both legislation authorization, which is before you today, and the local funding unit's approval. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for that high overview. You just mentioned that it's for the district level. You guys don't account for landlord-tenant cases?
Yeah, it's not yet accounted for in the case weights for that analysis.
Are there any other cases that aren't accounted for?
That's the only one that I was aware of, but I can most certainly go back and ask for clarification.
And does this include specialty courts as well?
This includes circuit, probate, and district.
Okay. All right. I know there's probably going to be some questions, but were there any questions for Trevor now? Representative Fink.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to say that I generally have, I think I voted for all of these additions of judges that have come before the legislature in the time I've been here, because I do regard the efficient administration of justice as a crucial function for any civilized government. So I'm generally supportive of the idea of having sufficient numbers of judges to administer the cases quickly, but still trying to do our due diligence on this one. The landlord-tenant cases you're talking about, it's not that I assume it's not that the cases aren't being accounted for, but the relatively recently added procedures directed by SCAO or the Supreme Court, however you want to put it. Essentially, those cases are now more cumbersome than they had been. Isn't that probably what's going on with your case weighting?
Yeah, I don't want to assume that, but I know that that's one of the factors that's not accounted for. That's why the average, when we look at that for the district courts, tends to be lower than what the actual work is. So, but I can most certainly get some clarification on how that is factored in. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Trevor. Please stand by. I'm going to call up Representative Fitzgerald now to talk about his House Bill 4920.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning in regards to my bill, House Bill 4920. This is a bill that really highlights the need for additional judgeship in the 63rd District Court, which serves all but 5 municipalities in Kent County, which actually accounts for over 280,000 residents based on the 2020 census data. As you heard, the SCAO report from 2019 did recommend that an additional judgeship would be supported in the 63rd District Court, as the judges there are having a caseload of an average of, have an average of more than 13,000 cases a year. That's greater than any other district court in Kent County at the moment. I will just say that the timeliness of this bill is also imperative, as the current judges have terms expiring in 2026 and 2028. And so should this be passed by our local unit, which there is great support for back home, this would actually hit the ballot in 2024, allowing residents of Kent County to approve of a judgeship every 2 years in Kent County. When you consider the growth of Kent County as well compared to the state, we do see that Kent County itself has grown by 8.4% between 2010 and 2020, but more specifically, it's grown at an 11.2% rate in the communities that are served by, the 63rd District Court. So communities like Rockford, East Grand Rapids, Lowell Charter Township are all served by this 63rd district. That 13,000 average caseload is incredibly cumbersome for our current two judges that serve. We do have one who is here today who would be able to answer any questions about that environment in which they are currently practicing. But at this point, this is clearly needed, not only by caseload, but also by population, and the continued growth of Kent County and expediency in our judicial system is absolutely imperative for the citizens of Kent County. So I'm happy to take any questions, although we do have, I believe, County Administrator Vandenberg, who is on the back line, as well as Judge O'Hara, who is a member of the 63rd District Bench.
Okay, let's now go to Mr. Al Vandenberg, please.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chair Breen, and thank you very much for quickly scheduling this bill for a hearing before the House Judiciary Committee. We really appreciate this, as we believe there is some necessity to move on this fairly quickly. I'd also like to thank Representative Fitzgerald for his leadership and also for sponsoring the bill, and then also for the leadership of Chief Judge Jeffrey O'Hara, who you'll hear from briefly. So Kent County is the fastest growing county in Michigan by actual bodies. I think Ottawa is by percentage, Kent is by actual bodies for many years now. And with that comes a major growth in the service demands on the county. And I think it's felt nowhere sharper than in our district court, where the caseload is dramatically larger for our district judges than the rest of the judges in the county. But I also think if you look at the balance of West Michigan and even around the state, you'll see that these judges have some of the highest caseloads in Michigan for district court judges. And as I talked to the prosecutor and the sheriff and others, there's a huge strain on our system right now. And for my Board of Commissioners, and my Board of Commissioners desires to provide outstanding service to the residents of Kent County, this is an area where we're struggling right now. And there's probably no more important area than the delivery of timely justice, both for those who have been impacted in a negative way and are seeking redress, and also for those who need to be punished for some of the acts that they've committed. I think that from county support, it's important to know that our Board of Commissioners we did complete a judiciary services study last year, and ultimately were successful in adding a probate judge. I think the last scale report had recommended an additional circuit probate and district judge for Kent County, and we were able to successfully add a probate judge starting January of this current year. And then just with it was kind of messy what was going on last year with a number of different areas trying to add judgeships, and we were not successful in adding the district court judgeship. However, the board is committed to paying for the cost of the judgeship. So obviously, as all of you know very well, there's other positions that are necessary in the court, in the prosecutor's office, in the sheriff's office. There will be some facility changes to accommodate an additional courtroom. And the Board of Commissioners and the County Administration of Kent County stand by ready and eager to get moving on those improvements. So, clearly with the cycle we're in, we'll need to include those costs in the 2025 budget. And so I think one of the needs for expeditious consideration of this request is that the office would be open for filing next April with the filing deadline for those who wish to run to be to obtain the new district judgeship in Kent County. And so obviously if this were taken up in January, and we hear rumors that the legislative session might be shortened this year, but if it were taken up in January, then it would be maybe push that timeline, the filing deadline, and the clerk's ability to properly notice the availability of the position and some of those things. So with that, I'm ready to turn it back. Thank you again, committee chair, for your consideration of this. I respectfully request that you approve it. We would love to see that in Kent County. We think it's a big need of ours. And again, I'll be available with the judge and the representative in the event you have any further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony, sir, and I'm going to break my rule and ask a question I don't know the answer to. Is this going to be sufficient, or I'm wondering if Kent County has considered the use of adding magistrates rather than district court judges?
That will be a question more for the judge. I do know we have magistrates currently, and judge, I think, would be better suited to answer that one.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Vandenberg? No? All right. Thank you for your testimony, sir. And we are now going to turn to Judge O'Hara.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the members of the Judiciary Committee. I am Chief Judge Jeff O'Hara here at the 63rd District Court in Kenton County. Thank you to Chair Representative Kelly Breen for so quickly scheduling this hearing. And thank you to Representative John Fitzgerald for your support of Bill 4920. And thank you to all the staff and everyone for their work and consideration in our request. We are requesting a third district court judge here at 63rd District Court. We've needed a third judge for a long time. Our new, now not so new courthouse was built in 2009. It was built with a third courtroom. It already has a third courtroom. The courthouse was built recognizing the need for a third judge and the growth that we have here in Kent County. The data supports our request. In Kent County, there are 12 district court judges. 63rd has only 2 of those judges. 63rd's jurisdiction represents 43% of the Kent County population, 43% with only 2 judges. The other 57% of the county's population has 10 district court judges. Our jurisdiction is huge. When the district court was formed back in the early 70s, our townships were mostly cornfields and woods. They are now subdivisions. Our jurisdiction encompasses growing communities like Kent City, Cedar Springs, Sparta, Rockford, Ada Township, Cascade Township, Grand Rapids Township, Lowell Township, Gaines Township, which includes Kentwood High School, and Byron Township. 63rd's land mass is 85% of the county. 63rd has 85% of the land mass of Kenton County. From 2010 to 2020, 63rd's population grew tremendously by 11%. And with continued growth, it's anticipated that same rate will continue. In our jurisdiction, people are building new houses, businesses are moving to our communities, such as Rockford, Caledonia Township, Byron Township, Cascade Township, and Ada Township. We are a growing community. Our caseload is significantly higher than all the other Kent County District Court judges and more than double than some district court judges throughout the state of Michigan. It is a fact supported by data that 63rd has one of the highest caseloads per judge in the entire state of Michigan. The State Court Administrator's Office, SCAO, supports our request for a third judge. And I recently received an email from Julia Norton, who is our Regional 5 administrator from the State Court Administrative Office, an email just last month, August 16, which reads, with regard to the legislation for the new district judge seat, our statistics department ran the numbers and the data supports this addition. SCAO intends to support the legislation. For all these reasons that I've stated, and on behalf of the community that we serve, I am respectfully requesting that the committee members support House Bill 4920. Thank you very much, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you, Judge. I'm wondering if if the use of additional magistrates would help ease the caseload, and that's something you've considered?
We have a magistrate's courtroom. He is a full-time magistrate, and he is in that courtroom all the time.
Does anybody have a question for the judge? Thank you for your time, sir. And
Thank you to all the committee members. Thank you.
do we have any questions for Representative Fitzgerald? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We will likely take this up for a vote at our next meeting. And I would like to call up now Representative Wozniak along with Judge Shimke to discuss House Bill 4823. And if Mr. Van Dyke would like to come up as well, join the party to answer any additional questions. Thank you. Representative Wozniak, would you like to tell us about your bill?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome back, committee. We're getting started. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you on the importance of passing this House Bill 4823, which would add one judicial position in the Macomb County Probate Court. According to the State Court Administrator's Office, the most recent Michigan judicial workload assessment, which was completed in 2019, the Macomb Probate Court was estimated to need between 3.1 and 3.82 probate judges to properly handle its caseload. Earlier this year, I asked that an analysis of the workload be run by scale again, based on current caseloads, and was informed that the process provided the same results. As an attorney who has spent many years representing the interests of clients in Macomb County's probate court and many hours awaiting the opportunity to be heard, I know firsthand how hard the judges and the staff of the court work to ensure that everyone receives a hearing in a timely manner, but how difficult that is to do with only 2 judges on the bench. House Bill 4823 would increase by 1 the number of judicial positions on the Macomb County Probate Court, allowing for a total of 3 judges. This is still less than the workload assessment recommends, but is a number that is supported by both the Macomb County Probate Court and the Michigan State Court Administrator's Office. As we have representatives of both these honorable institutions, Judge Sarah Shimke of the Macomb County Probate Court and Deputy General Counsel Trevor Van Dyke of the Michigan Supreme Court, present in the committee this morning, I will end my comments here and allow them the opportunity to provide more detailed information. And with permission, I'd like to ask Judge Shimke to give testimony.
Thank you, Representative. Judge, thanks for being here today. Tell us about what you think.
Very well. Thank you, Madam Chair and House Judiciary Committee members. Thank you for having me this morning. I'm Macomb County Probate Judge Sarah Shimke, and I'm very happy to be here to express my support, the support of my colleague, Judge Sandra Harrison, and our Chief Circuit Court Judge James Biernat for House Bill 4823. We all believe this bill is essential for the community and those we serve. I won't take up too much of your valuable time, but I want to tell you a little bit about me so you understand why it was so important for me to personally be here this morning in support of this bill. Prior to beginning my service on the bench in April of 2022, I was a practicing attorney specializing in probate, estate planning, special needs, and elder law. This is the only law I've ever practiced. It's all I've ever loved. I worked for years helping families during desperate times, preparing for their inevitable passing, dealing with debilitating illness, and providing security to parents of disabled children who were terrified of what would happen to their child when they could no longer care for them. I spent countless days in courts across the state helping these families. 15 years ago, when I started practicing, probate court was an anomaly for most. all these years later, with an aging population, people are turning to the Macomb County Probate Court for relief and protections in record numbers, and filings continue to rise. I am fortunate that I now get to serve my community as a sitting judge, but currently, our community, is not being fully served. Macomb County, the third largest county in our great state, has only 2 probate judges. Although you've seen the current numbers, scale statistics show that since at least 2019, we have needed and continue to need 3 judges. We've managed with a lot of hard work, help from others, but that's not sustainable, and it's not fair to those that need the services of the probate court. When I took the bench a little over a year ago, the time between filing a petition and having your first hearing before myself or Judge Harrison was 8 to 10 weeks. I have trouble putting into words exactly how unacceptable this is. Our court serves the most vulnerable of our population. These are your parents who've fallen victim to phone scams and now their life savings are at risk. They are children who've lost their parents and need a little legal guardian to enroll them in school or counseling. It's your neighbor who's suffering from a mental illness, and it's a family, a friend, or a colleague who was just in a tragic accident and can't make their own medical decisions. These are not trivial issues that people can be told, come back in 10 weeks and we'll see what we can do for you then. These are people in our community that deserve better, and they deserve another judge. It is for these reasons that I thank Representative Wozniak for introducing House Bill 4823, the sponsors, and all of you for your consideration today.
I do have a question. Noting especially those issues that you just raised, thinking about some of our most vulnerable people, people who might need to seek like emergency guardianship or things of that nature. How will the addition of a probate judge affect your ability to move these cases along faster? Like you said, 8 to 10 weeks right now. Any idea how this might affect your ability to have a hearing sooner?
So 8 to 10 weeks was when I took the bench. Macomb County has had a long history of being underserved in the probate court. We are now down, thankfully, to 3 to 4 weeks for these people because we have the circuit court has agreed to temporarily help us with emergencies until the end of the year. And we have a visiting judge that is helping us with our mental illness docket, which requires 20 hearings within 28 days, and our developmentally disabled guardianships, which also require hearings within 28 days. So statutorily, those just can't be pushed. So we have a visiting judge 2 days a week covering those full dockets, which allows Judge Harrison and I to move the other cases through that are not either the MIs or the DDs. Each one of those days, Judge Harris and I each hear about 24 cases, and that's an extra 100 cases a week that her and I can hear because of the 2-day visiting judge.
You said you have an agreement with the circuit court judges for them to help you out till the end of the year. What happens after then?
It's not a hard, we got so behind, and the stress of the emergencies, because we do have anywhere every day our emergency cases, and we hear, I want to be clear, all courts, probate courts handle it different. We hear our emergencies the minute you come in. So we don't do them, every morning, we don't send you back. We hear them when they come in. We average about 8 to 12 emergencies a day, which is a lot when you're also having a full docket. So in order for us to move some of that backlog through, a couple, I don't want to say the entire bench, but a couple of them help us every other week with 1 day of hearing those emergencies. And our visiting judge does them every other week. And so again, we only have the visiting until the end of the year. And so then theoretically, we will get all of those hearings back.
Okay. Are there any questions for the witnesses? No? Okay. Thank you for coming. We will take these up for a vote next week. I also know at the beginning of the hearing, there was a motion to excuse Representative Carter. That motion was adopted. And is there anybody here who wishes to speak on any other topic? Okay. Nobody else wants to talk. And with that, everybody, the House Judiciary Committee stands adjourned.